regarding the fish tank thing. So if you're not aware, Sam Hyde has this reality show where a bunch of fish contestants are in a house. All of the windows and doors, everything, you cannot see out. The rules are stay inside, no weed, and no phones. And so it's 6 weeks of these 8 people all put together. And the setup, it's on fishtank.live, is you get to click and switch between 10 different cameras. So you can go to bedroom 1 and see what people are doing there. You can go to bedroom 3, living room, kitchen, all that kind of shit. And it is a masterclass example of like why reality shows always hire actors and are always scripted. Because he genuinely picked like 8 of the most genuinely strange autistic people he could find and put them in a house. And the challenges are often brutal and clearly made up in the moment.
Counting grains of rice. He comes in, throws rice all over the room, and he's like, count the rice.
Yeah, he came in and like did like the rice thing. He'll do stuff just to upset them, and then he'll do things to try and create problems. Or he'll be like, he'll barge in his enormous self wearing like a seersucker suit, like just like dominating people physically in an uncomfortable way, and be like, tonight's challenge is the drunk dickhead off. Whoever is the meanest, most ruthless person to your fellow contestants wins a fish buck. A fish buck is a piece of paper he prints out with a fish on it that is purportedly redeemable for $500 each at the end of the show. And as he introduced those, he was like, you guys are going to want to take care of these fish bucks. These are definitely worth $500 each. Listen to me, folks. If I'm lying, sue me. And then so he's been giving out fish bucks to people. And like people get kicked out of the house, but no one, I don't think, has actually really gotten kicked out. It's just people are so psychologically tortured by text to speech from Sam Hyde's audience.
But there is someone.
John
got
left.
kicked out.
Oh yeah, Simmons got
Simmons.
kicked out because they discovered one of the contestants, this Asian guy, had written a book. My understanding was about his years as a camp counselor, but what he wrote the book about was how to hook up with the people at camp and
the kids at camp.
Apparently,
it was too weird. It was it was weird enough that the excerpts from the book caused people to be uncomfortable.
What was the title? The most dangerous game? Like,
dangerous game. Dude, it was so like apparently it was so reprehensible that like Sam went into the house and was like, you have 3 minutes to get your you have 3 minutes to get your
Goldstriker went in on his day off.
Oh, not his day off.
And he's like, you know, fuck you, get out of here.
Norm, he was just in there with a weed eater attacking the kitchen, and you're telling me he's got to go right back in on his day off?
He was just in there attacking the kitchen with a weed eater. You saw that? A lot of it's 24-hour live stream, and so like usually just every night, like after this, I'll pop in see what they're doing. It's either like sitting around doing nothing boring, or it is like the most beyond interesting, entertaining, surreal thing ever. What happened recently, just I guess yesterday, is, you know, Frank Hassel. This ties in with Boogie. Everything's getting connected. Frank Hassel is the gentleman who said to Boogie, I'm going to come in your house and fuck you in the ass. That's Hassel doctrine, you know, and forced, obviously forced Boogie to do that warning shot. Yeah. There was a goal that as soon as they hit their like subscriber limit or whatever, Frank Hassel would be unleashed on the contestants. And so they let Frank Hassel into the house last night, and he like immediately proceeds to like start tearing people's stuff up, breaking things, like being very uncomfortable around people. And that was all expected. This was all 100% expected.
Arlie, that bag's so loud.
Arlie, stop fucking playing with the bag.
I want to note that wasn't me.
I was like, all right, he's done. And then he's like, let me close it. I don't want these to get stale.
If you know, yesterday they brought Frank Hassel into the mix. And if you're familiar with another character kind of in the iDubbbz universe, his name is Airsoft Fatty. So Airsoft Fatty was this big, morbidly obese guy, this guy. There's an iDubbbz documentary about him with like 30 million views, hugely popular. It's called Full Force, and it was tracking this big fat guy's like airsoft journey and like his interesting life in Battle Creek, Michigan. And this big fat guy, who's arguably the most likable like earnest, genuine seeming guy in the world, airsoft fatty. His name's Chris. At one point last night, like he went up to a room by himself and like started crying. And this guy's like morbidly obese. Like he lost his mother, doesn't have a father in the picture, like in his mid-20s. Like he's had a rough go of it by anyone's estimation. And apparently a lot of people on Reddit and whatnot harass him and make his life very difficult. And he was like, he like marched himself up to like bedroom 4 by himself and like started crying and saying like, pull it together. I can't take this anymore. It was very sad. And Frank fucking Hassel walks in and sees this guy like crying and starts to be like,
can I pause?
You know what? I'll get, yeah, go ahead.
Help me understand. Frank Hassel is
Thank you.
the character that Sam Hyde plays. I'm right?
No. Frank Hassel, the guy on the left there is Frank Hassel. He makes content where he hassles people. He messes with them in public.
He's the guy that messed with Boogie.
Correct. Yes, he's the guy that messed with Boogie. And this gentleman here, Chris, airsoft fatty, he was in this room crying, and Frank Hassel came in and saw him crying and started going like, kind of broke his character and was like, oh, you need anything, man? You let me know what's up. And he started to leave, and Chris started to like open up and like cried a little more. Like, this is I'm having such a hard time. Frank Hassel like broke character entirely, went over there, like patted him on the back, comforted this guy. The guy's saying, I feel like I'm worthless and everyone hates me and says I'm useless. And he's like, no, you're not, man. Like, stop saying that about yourself. It was genuinely fucking endearing watching in real time as like this dude who has a really tough life is actively comforted in a way that's genuine and human by someone whose entire job was to come in and fuck with them. Like the realness overtook the act. He also pretended to die of a heart attack mid stand-up show, which was actually funny.
Are we completely sure that sort of, consolation and friendship that he was showing there wasn't just the first stages of sissy hypno?
Maybe I'm a fool and I fell for it, but it was
airsoft fatty was manipulating him. He is. He needs money. It was a game. It was a move.
It was a tricky
thing. Listen, bro. I know fucking money moves. I know manipulative money moves when I see them. My people fucking they wrote the book, bro. It's called the Talmud. No, I'm joking. I don't buy it. Boy, I don't buy it. I do think it was interesting and it was great, but I see airsoft fatty. I'm like, I don't know, bro. I see a performer. Crazy to say, right? I know it is crazy to say, but I always default to I'm like, but at the end of the day, that's a YouTuber. And I don't know if I could fully trust a YouTuber, really. I met Airsoft Fatty once, and he was a nice guy. He was cool. But something about these YouTubers, bro, they're fucking weird me out.
I only care about the parts. I only care about the parts where he attacks the kitchen with a weed eater. Mostly, I like that.
I actually messaged him like, bro, beating the shit out of the kitchen with boxing gloves was way funnier than it should have been.
Because he punched the shit out of that cabinet and he goes, oh, whoa, fuck, sorry. Like apologizing to the people around as though he didn't just intentionally break it. I thought he was going to destroy that fridge.
What is that house? What is like, all right, so I've got some basic questions. Do you, who owns that? Is that a house like in the country somewhere?
Samuel Hyde owns that house.
Yeah, whoever owns that house made a huge mistake. Like there's an enormous amount of damage.
But
all over.
Like, does he own it? Is he renting it, or is this an Airbnb?
It's probably rented.
If it were rented,
I feel like he came in and bought that shit outright.
Does anyone have a vibe for how much money he's making off this fish tank thing?
The hosting's 10 a day, right? Jesus.
I don't know. I don't know if it's bringing in crazy bank.
Okay.
But it's definitely brought in enough attention to do it again.
Yeah.
It's I think it's very successful. You go in there at any time and you just see people spending money.
Yeah. And I know the expenses. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was like, he's just a very funny person.
Yeah.
He's very funny. And but I'm like, listen, I see shit like that and I find him so funny. And I know the appeal of some of the other things that he does and says. And I'm just like, I can't help but be like, this makes me, I don't know.
I have too much empathy to enjoy his humor. Like I always put myself.
Yes, some of the things. I agree with you. That's what I'm saying. It's the things that I too have too much empathy, where I'm like, ooh, I don't know. But
I watched him. He asked a guy to hold pads for him, right? And Sam Hyde had 150 pounds on this person who's holding his pads, and he doesn't seem to be holding anything back. So even though he's holding the pads, like they're hitting him in the face, he's like getting crunched. He is beating up a person under the guise of hitting the pads. And
we just found the line, Woody, you and I know our exact line. I found that thing hilarious.
Really?
I found him holding the bag. Very funny. That guy is he works out, he's a fighter, he's an alpha, if you're like, I'm a fucking top G, I love Andrew Tate. If you're that kind of guy, then it's okay for you to hold the bag and get kicked. You're a top G. You love Andrew Tate. So you can get kicked.
Do you know this lore, Kyle? So this gentleman that was holding the pads for Sam Hyde has a pretty severe speech impediment, and he's Andrew Tate's top J.
Andrew Tate and Twisted Tate, Cobra Tate. I love the Tate brothers. Could you tweet this out? Yeah, and you know what? Nothing wrong with this guy. If I were in the house, I would fully converse with this person, interact with him. If I were another fish, I would be like, bro, can we do some fucking push-ups, please? What are you doing? Like, you're pretty focused on this shit.
Yeah.
So that I do think if you're that type of person, yeah, you can get fucking kicked by Jason Goldstriker.
On John's, John is the name of the guy with the speech impediment, and like every character, every fish has their own little like contestant page that clearly Sam wrote. And like before I had heard this guy talk, it was like, John's a jack of all trades. He may have a speech impediment, but it's often mistaken for a European accent. And, and like I was like, what? And then I like started listening to him talk, and I was like, oh god, no, it's never mistaken for a European accent.
So we switched topics. I didn't know his backstory. All I saw was the clip of him holding pads, and he looked like a guy getting bullied. He was a guy getting bullied.
He was,
and I put myself in his
but some
position.
People should.
And I think like, what would I do? It's not like I could drop the fucking pads and put what the fuck is it? Is Sam in his place? Like,
no, you're on the show. Also, you're trying to get money. He has your phone.
Yes, your phone.
It is wild. It's wild. This is the only time where by the way, I was like, oh, this show's crazy. I was like on the third day, and I was like, this is the one time where Sam could actually get in trouble for something.
Yeah, he's
like,
liable.
This is the one time where I'm like, this is like producer nightmare city.
Because
so much of
not only is he doing silly things, but he's got those silly people there who dollars to donuts. He's got people there who have attempted suicide or self-harm before in the house with him under extreme stress with all sorts of crazy shit around and cameras filming all of it. I don't know. I wouldn't want to be responsible for any of that. No, I don't know how you get insurance for that. You can't.
What is it? 6 weeks for 10 grand?
It's 6 weeks. Now it's 30 grand. He'll randomly go in and increase the amount of money. I think it's like 30 now, right?
Sam is a very generous person, regardless of everything. At the end of the day, when someone has been through it and they do it, I don't doubt that he will be very generous. And I don't think he's going to swerve on them or anything.
Mm-hmm. What about the $500?
I think he's going to pay the money for that for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I really do. I can't imagine him not doing that. He needs money to do his vision, and he has extravagant visions. I'm only talking to the person that's like, met him before, but like what I gather is he needs money to do his extravagant visions, but money's not the main motivator for why he does things. So I don't think he would hold out money or anything like that. And even like, some of the crazy stuff he said, like, like you said, Woody, like me too. I feel like I have too much empathy. I get worried. Like, maybe my body's shifting. Like I should be a dad now. And I'm like, oh, I don't know about this one. It could make me cry. Like I maybe that's what it is.
Well, like some of those kids are like, you could be their dad almost, right? You're starting to look at it like that. It's like, he's like, what is he, like 19 in there?
I could be, but I am also legally allowed to have sex with them.
True.
Like I'm old enough to be their dad, and that's just my age now.
I don't know if other people look at this venture this way. I'm impressed by the business aspect of it. Like This is a pretty big investment that he's starting off. I've never started a business where the risk was Woodycraft. Do you guys know how much that cost to get going? $700. $700. I don't know how much I made on that. It was 7 digits though. And but that thing started for $700. This thing, he's spending 10 grand a day, but he made more than that rolling in. Go ahead.
We're a YouTuber again. He's not just a regular YouTuber, but once again, I'm like, could be a game. Could be a game. Listen, his audience, they love to pay money to him. They pay so much on the text to speech.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes way too much sense. I'm not saying he's doing this. I'm not saying that. But it makes way too much sense to consider being like, these are the costs. Is it really the cost? Or are you trying to let people know, like, if this shit's not worth it, it's not happening anymore? And you don't really get to speak English like that. You don't get to be like, yo, if this shit isn't worth it, it's not going to keep happening. But if you're like 10K a day is where we're at, then people know there's like a milestone to hit because you want it to keep happening, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, the text to speech is, for people who don't know, like, it's not like $5 text to speech. It's like a couple $100. And it's
Zach
like
said $150 and double at night.
Oh, $150 double at night. And also, like, there are sound effects you can play that are boomingly loud at people. And I think those are even more expensive than text to speech. And for like, the clips are maybe 30 seconds long. And for 20-30 straight minutes the other night, I watched the new Asian guy totally not be able to sleep because they played the shooting one, the mariachi band, the hysterical breakup, like all of these and like the clips, Woody, it's not like ding, like, or like something happy. There's one called like hysterical breakup, and it's like 2 minutes of like shrill screaming. There's one called mariachi band that is like only gets played at night, and it's so hilariously booming loud that like the second you play it. There's one that's just called like mayhem or something, and it's people screaming and gunshots going off. That's like, help, and bang bang bang. There's
all right. Now I think this is funny. This hasn't crossed my empathy line yet, but it's flirting with it. It's like,
it is flirting with it, and he is good at that. Is flirting with that line where I'm like, oh, this is bad. I shouldn't laugh, but I
yeah. It's like, hey, for how much is to play one of these things? Like $30, maybe $15.
No, like $150.
I don't know if it's secret or not. I don't know if it's secret or not, but I spoke to him briefly. I spoke to Julian, and they were like, we want to get like an epic meal in the fish tank if we could do that. And I was like, fuck, dude, I've been watching. I have all these trips planned. It was last minute. I was like,
wait, that's why?
I don't know if
you would subject yourself. Oh, you would just visit. You wouldn't be a contestant.
I would go be epic meal time, like they're there one day and I come in, I'm like, we're making, I don't know what we would have done, but like, we're making a fucking epic meal now, fish. Let's start fucking
I thought you wanted
burning pizza.
Like, hey, Harley, if you work for me for 6 weeks, you may or may not get 10 grand. If you do like,
I won't lie. Listen, ever since I did boxing, nothing concerns me now. Like I boxed John Hennigan, like one of the most athletic WWE superstars ever, and he was on the most juice of life. So much juice, like it's it was the ultimate. And now I'm like, I said to my mom, I'm like, should I be a cop? My mom was like, why? I'm like, I don't know. I'm fucking good.
Do it.
Well, mine is all times I spoke about being on mushrooms or drugs on these podcasts. I was like, but I could do it. I was like, or I'll be a fucking postman. I could do whatever. Should I be a fish in season 2? Yeah, I'll go fucking sit in the house. I'll hold the bag for Jason Goldstriker while he kicks me in the face. Doesn't matter. Nothing matters now. I'm doing all side quests. All extra missions. It's all the nonsense part. I'm doing the cleanup now.
Bravery now. That's what happened. That the cowardness part of your brain got injured in your last fight.
No, you know what it was? I always thought I was like, man, I'm gonna get my ass kicked one day, and then I'm gonna be humbled. I saw my ass get kicked, and I'm like, bro, I never got hurt, and I kept getting up. And I'm not even retarded right now. That's my secret, Woody. I'm always retarded.
I know you guys didn't watch much of the fish tank thing.
Is it over?
That he did. Yeah, it's over now. It was I watched it's been 24/7 for 6 weeks. And so obviously I didn't like watch much of it at all by percentage, but I would pop in at night and like go on Twitter and look at the highlights on YouTube. And the wrap up last night, the last 30 minutes of it live was maybe the most surreal live content I've ever watched, like in a stream. It was the most masterful trolling I've ever seen. The most like Sam Hyde cried at the end of it. Like he got emotional at the end of it. Like it was these two girls, Letty and Josie, were the last two, and they have been undergoing psychic hell and torture in this chamber of fish tank with all of Sam Hyde's poll 4chan audience, like text-to-speeching them. And the last 4 days of the competition was literally locking them both in bedroom 2, and then random people just coming up with challenges like, how long can you hop on one foot compared to each other? Yeah, now you have to mud wrestle. Now you both have to see who can belly bump airsoft fatty harder. Now you have to, do that, just random nonsense. And it got to be the final challenge at the end of the day. And these people are dirty. It's disgusting. It's the nastiest house I've ever seen in my life. I don't know if you could pay me to go in there. They ruined this house. And Sam Hyde goes in at the end after one of them has won, and he takes out the contract that they had all signed when they went in. And he had been going by the name Jason Goldstriker. And he was like, so Letty, Josie, do you guys know who Sam Hyde is? And Letty was like, yes. And Josie's like, no. And he's like, oh, well, I'm an internet troll. I'm a troll, I guess. Josie, could you just, and he takes out this contract and he's like, here's the contract I gave you guys. First thing I would notice is it's stapled in the bottom right-hand corner. That didn't throw you off? Neither of you? Didn't throw you off? Okay. Josie, go ahead and read this underlined portion right here. Read that for me. And she starts saying, there is no guarantee that by participating in Fish Tank, Josie, louder! There is no guarantee that by participating in Fish Tank that I will be awarded any funds regardless of what is given to me throughout the course of the competition. And Sam looks at the camera, he's like, oh, one more time. Oh, you guys got scammed, didn't you? Oh, fuck.
Oh my God.
Fuck. Oh. And Frank Hassel is there and he's cracking up and they're laughing at these people. And he's like, guys, I don't even hate you. I don't even hate you. And he starts screaming and he's like, I don't hate you guys, but you know who I fucking hate are the N-words, like pointing at the camera. Like, I fucking hate you fucking viewers. You ruined this show. We tried to do something and he's losing his mind, fucking over the top losing it. He like storms out.
I can't tell what's real.
It's very real at this moment. And Jet, his assistant, the runner of the show, is like, all right, everybody calm down. Mr. Goldstriker had an absolute meltdown because Sam was on screen going, I'm doing World Peace 2 right now, right? I missed a fucking huge shoot today to be at this horse shit. I'm shooting a fucking show and I'm missing. Like he's losing it. He's doing very well. And he storms out of there. One of the girls is so dejected that she like sits there almost like catatonically. And the other girl goes in a closet out of camera space, out of camera view. And Sam is walking around. He comes back up the stairs 5 minutes later with his shirt off. Like, where's my fucking phone? Jet, where's my fucking phone? Like just mad, angry going around. And this continues for like 10 minutes. It's unbelievably uncomfortable. There's 20,000 people watching this. Like, LOL, haha, they got scammed. Fuck, is this real? Jesus fucking Christ, there's no way. And Airsoft Fatty, that big tard, like Sam, I realized it was a bit at the point that Sam went into a room with the contract and started like pretending to write on it. And Airsoft Fatty came in and was like, you don't have to behave this way, man. This is fucking, you don't have to act childish. Are you going to pay us at all? Are you going to pay her after wasting 6 years of her life? And he gets up and he's like, 6 weeks of her life. And he's like, you lose. Good day, sir. And he does the whole Willy Wonka bit. And clearly these two people don't know the Willy Wonka bit. He's like, you get nothing. 0. You lose. Good day, sir. And he's like yelling at them to come out. And then Josie, one of the girls, does something very sweet because, one of the competition things was you could pay like $400 to give this autistic girl a plushie throughout the entire thing. And she got like 15 plushies. And she came in and was like, I wanted to give you this plushie you can sell it, maybe sell it and make something. I don't want it. And he's like, one kind deed. My boy, you've won the fish tank. You've won. And you're muted, Kyle, and he starts freaking out and shaking this autistic girl like, you understand, Josie? You've won the fish tank. You've done it. And he's gaslighted them so hard for like the past hour that they're both still like scared and like, are you being serious? I don't know. And like, no, he marches them down there. It was only guaranteed that the winner would get $35,000. He gave the winner $35,000. He gave the second place person $20,000, even though there was no guarantee for that because he was like, Letty, you took so much abuse. It was the most sincere I've ever seen Sam. If you look up End of Fish Tank, like he started crying, talking to that girl Letty, who was taking all the abuse throughout the show because like, and he was doing that thing where he was like trying to laugh, not be uncomfortable with his emotions, but he was like, crying, being like, Letty, you realized we needed a fucking villain and you were that villain and you did it so well and I couldn't be more proud of you and I think so highly of you and you are so resilient. It was a weird...
How was she a villain?
She antagonized all the other contestants throughout and like fucked with them and did stuff like that, as did Airsoft Fatty, who seems like a genuine lunatic, but like it was from what I saw of Fish Tank, it was genuinely entertaining as shit. There was no way to like replicate that with real like casted reality because it was so over the top, so absurd. And the way that like Sam was absolutely ruthless to these people. And I didn't realize he was actually that good of an actor, I guess, is what because I like for the first 10 minutes of it until he started like a couple of the rants, I'm like, oh no, he's joking. But no, for the first like 3 minutes of that, I'm like, holy fuck, Sam is going to not pay these fucking retards anything.
Yeah.
It was wild. It was surreal. It was the best streaming content I've ever seen. I hope they do another season. It's really, you can't just sit there and watch it for hours and hours and hours, but you catch the highlights and every once in a while you pop in and they're doing something wild and insane.
If I were him, I would have only paid if the person who got the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory reference.
Was it profitable?
Yeah.
Right? I imagine it was. You can't tell because like
you don't give an extra 20 grand away at the end if it wasn't.
Yeah, I would imagine it was very profitable. The amount of constant text to speech and sound effects was nonstop, and you have to remember like something's going on in room 2, something's going on in room 3, something's going on in the living room, and all of them are getting nonstop $30 text to speech and $40 sound effects, And crazy. So it's just
I don't know what to make of his expenses because I can. Sam Hyde has my head twisted up. He's like, oh my god, here's a screenshot of a contract that says I pay $10,000 a day in bandwidth, and I'm just like, really? A screenshot of a contract is proof, yet it's not. I don't know.
I think
masterful trolling.
I don't know what he's doing, but he definitely needs to own the house where the thing happens. It needs to be built in a way so that it can be destroyed and repaired modularly. It's like it shouldn't be a big deal if a wall gets like tackled. Like if a man goes through a wall, it's like, oh, no problem, zip. And he needs to make it neat. Like he's already got it wired up with cameras and mics, but like I want some cool shit. I want to be able to like zap people's butts while they're sitting in chairs. I want to be able to have all sorts of controls. Like you need more buttons and knobs.
Did I send you the video of Airsoft Fatty falling?
I want to be able to turn the plumbing off. I want to be able to turn the toilet off.
Did that would be funny.
Oh no, I got it. So in the hole in prison, you have to ask them to flush your toilet. The button's on the outside of the cell. That's how you do it.
Show that. Did I send you guys the video of Airsoft Fatty falling down the stairs in the funniest?
Yes, like it's bizarrely awkward.
It's like, the weird. Have you seen this, Woody? It's the giant fat guy. It's the most awkward. Turn on the volume. Make sure the volume's on.
That is. He hit his face. He hit his face. Can you back up a little?
He hit his face. He just like dragged it down.
Yeah.
That was as awkward and painful as you can fall.
How'd he hit his face on 3 stairs?
I'll let people come to his aid by the end.
Yeah,
You okay?
dude. One of the he had the most weird group of like freeloaders throughout the competition. Like to keep it spicy, like as people got eliminated, he would just bring in people called freeloaders. And so like Frank Hassel was a freeloader, Airsoft Fatty was a freeloader, and randomly that one dude. Remember that clip from like a year ago? The guy who was talking about AOC's big ass.
Yeah,
that dude just randomly went in with like a black homeless guy, and the black homeless guy like went up and didn't realize there was night vision in the rooms, and so like he was just shirtless. He went up there and like stripped naked and started like whipping his dick and balls with like a towel. This black homeless guy did, and then they had to go up there and tell. It was bizarre. Yeah, I didn't think he was a. And then Chris Airsoft Fatty got naked probably 3 or 4 times during the show until like I think Sam told him, "Hey, that was really funny, but no more of that." Yeah. But he's got Peter Griffin body. You cannot see his penis when he's naked. It's totally. You do not need to censor it. Yeah, if you look up, like he there's a picture of him raising his hands naked, and you cannot see genitals. It's literally the Peter Griffin
fucked up. No, I would definitely make the only way the toilets would flush would be if a participant on the outside paid to flush the toilet. So you'd have to earn it. Wow. You'd have to earn toilet flushes.
Yeah, that was an early thing, is that a lot of people, I think Frank Hassel kept shitting and not flushing.
That's on upper. Give him the upper decker. That'd be the way to go.
And shit. Oh. Yeah, I don't think you can show this one because he is technically naked, Zach, but I know we have to wrap anyway. Well, there's a huge audience that cares about fishtank.live, the show which wrapped up and Neptune show. Yeah, you gotta, if you haven't seen highlights of that, I strongly recommend people check out the finale of it. It is very, very funny. So 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, you showed me some clips from that. So that's Sam Hyde's like crazy Big Brother style online show he did. And they get to the end of this thing where he's been torturing these people psychologically and physically for a couple weeks, and then he kind of he tells them, "Hey, you're not getting any money. Look at this contract you signed, idiot." And it kind of breaks everyone's spirit, and it's pretty wild to watch. And then there's a twist after that. So I highly recommend at least watching the finale. It's pretty fucking good. Yeah,
it's super entertaining. It is. I'm definitely going to watch season 2. Apparently it did well enough that they're doing a season 2 in winter. So it was one of those things that like I would just check it every night for most of the duration of it. Like, oh, what are the fish up to? And like see what fucking nonsense they were doing.
How would you do on that show, Taylor?
Probably not well. Like the amount of psychic torture and how filthy the house is.
Psychic torture?
Like the amount of text-to-speech harassment and
like Professor Xavier,
like you're trying to recover from a day of being tortured, and just someone is continuing to play like school shooting and mariachi band sound effects as you're trying to sleep. Like it really is Big Brother mixed with Abu Ghraib or Guantanamo Bay. Like it's hilarious. I saw this really funny Twitter thread that was like someone joking around being like, it's funny how many clear lessons they took from the Stanford prison experiment, Abu Ghraib, and all these things. It's like, they made it uncomfortable. Like the actual physical setup of it would be awful. It's so fucking disgusting in that house. And anytime they start cleaning it up, Sam comes upstairs and destroys it again, and then pays Airsoft Fatty to like shit in all the toilets and not flush.
Yeah.
And it's just. It was so much fun. Dude, I was sitting
aside from the pooping, which is easily solved. This sounds like a typical Woody motel room. Like, oh, is there damaged furniture? How would I make it through the night? How
filthy?
In what way is it filthy?
Like there's shit smeared in places. There's piss. Everything's broken. They destroy all the furniture. They punch holes in the walls. Everything is shredded. Like it's not my house. It is baffling how badly the house was destroyed.
The only thing I can't just ignore.
The poo is a big part of it. It takes such little poo to upset me. Like in a place that I'm living, it takes like borderline 0, and the amount they had was non-zero. And like, I remember watching multiple times, like just sitting there looking at this hell house of horror. and just looking around my nice, clean home and being like, I am so thankful I am here right now instead of there, because I was genuinely impressed by some of the contestants. There's this chick, Letty, who's just like a chick in her like mid-20s who endured so much nonsense from like Frank Hassel, from the sharks, the fish tank operators and everything. And she just like kept being entertaining and coming back. It would be, I do not have high. No, she got second place. And Sam still gave her 20 grand. She wasn't supposed to win that much.
I think not having watched
really
it
cool
very much, like Sam coming in and like destroying his own kitchen, I'm not intimidated. If you want to kick the pads and like push me around the room, I don't care.
That I would care. That would hurt my feelings. Like I put myself in that position at least 10 times. Not in real life, like in my thoughts. Like, what would I do if Sam asked me to hold the pads and then just started like dominating?
You can hold pads for Sam. You're big enough. That other guy's small and frail, and he's never held pads before.
We could all do it.
I think it takes a real giant man to like overpower us holding like tie pads.
Pads. Maybe you're right. Maybe I was picturing myself getting pushed around just like that guy, and I'm like,
I don't think so.
Do I sweep the foot as he goes for a kick? Like it?
No. You pull the pad out of the way, let him kick the wall. Is what you do.
I like that better.
Down.
But I'm like,
what's wrong, Sam?
For the record,
what happened?
I can't beat up Sam Hyde, right? So if I get my one lick in, do I call that a moral victory? because you know what follows.
Kick that wall. Let Sam kick that wall. Now he's all crippled, and I hope he attacks me. Because you think 30 grand prize money? This lawsuit's going to do better than that, Sam. Why don't you attack me right here on camera in front of everyone, Sam? Why don't you attack me? You big goof. Did you kick the wall, Sam? Look at that welt. Look at that, you goof.
Why don't you hobble on over here and see what kind of fight
he's not going to actually fucking attack you. There were very funny times like where the real like Sam like showrunner came out during the show, because he would like that guy who took all the kicks, like John, the guy with the speech impediment, he like encouraged John and Letty to like fuck with each other and like create content and harass each other and everything, and like would say like everything's allowed. You can destroy each other's belongings. You're allowed to like go in each other's bags and take stuff and tear their clothes and destroy their stuff and shoot mustard all over their shirt. Like you can destroy any of their stuff, and that was an understood thing. And John being
that would go well. I think that would.
Yeah.
Choke somebody out so fast,
dude. I'm telling you, it's not. It's if you haven't watched it, like, it would not be easy.
Woody's to be like, I don't mind poop. They're like, we pooped in your bag.
Pooped in your bag, and now Frank Hassel is in your room, shirtless, like wearing it, wearing poop.
No, Frank Hassel's in there, and he's wearing your CPAP.
And shit on his own forehead. We've given away
the secret on how to get under my skin, how to get me to overreact to something. Not that it's a secret, but
this girl Letty is Canadian, and it's an American show, and so she has a passport there, and this guy John runs in there and steals her passport and is like running around like threatening, like, I'm gonna rip your passport, I'm ripping your fucking passport. And like Sam comes, because it's like you can't have someone on his show having their passport destroyed like on it and trapped in the country. And so he barrels up in like real anger mode. It's like, John, do not rip that passport. Don't rip that. And John's running away from Sam in the garage, and Sam is sprinting over piles of garbage to catch him. And he grabs the passport from him. He's like, John, you fucking idiot. And like throws a drawer as hard as he can at the wall of the garage, angrily throwing garbage around like, fuck, John, you can't rip up people's fucking passports. Like actually getting furious. There were so many fucking funny
I can't tell. You said actually furious?
Yes. Legitimately furious. He cannot have one contestant destroying another contestant's passport. Like
I'm still not afraid
them in the country.
But I'm still not afraid though.
No, you're not afraid
because I'm there to because of the scenario, this exact sneer in particular, right? Because I'm terrified of Sam Hyde. He's a gigantic, scary man. He'll kill me with his bare hands.
Supposed to be scary.
What I'm scared of, though, the reason I wouldn't be scared in that scenario, though, I'm here to suffer for a few tens of thousands of dollars. So if you give me a scenario right now where that big dude just beats me up and I get, call it 100,000, I like that even better. I'd love to go home right now with like a concussion and $100,000 check, Sam. So beat me up in front of everyone. Like I'm not afraid of that. The problem would be, I bet there's not a lot of sleep happening, and I need some sleep. Like I need some sleep, and that weighs on you. Like every day, if you're just getting 4 or 5 hours, or that like sporadic, a couple of hours throughout the day kind of thing, that could have a real mental toll.
Yeah,
that adds up cumulatively.
Dude, just sound effects and text to speech all night.
I forgot that.
You are so quickly going to be in a bad mood out of like, and maybe I didn't explain it right. But like, the point is not, Sam Hyde is not scaring people like I'm going to beat you up. It is made to be uncomfortable in there. The whole nature of moving their beds all the time, disrupting their sleep, loud noises, controlling the lights, people paying to have the temperature turned down to freezing or as hot as the house goes. Like just things like it's made to be uncomfortable. Like there's no threat that you're going to be beat up or attacked. And then just like
there's a little threat in there.
No.
The way he yelled at the guy around the passport and threw things at the wall. There's
the wall, not at him.
You can't tell me there's no threat.
I would have said.
I mean, it's a show.
Like, I would have said, "Am I off the show if I tear it up? What happens if I tear it up? What happens if I burn it right now? What happens? I'd want to know." He has to tell me what the rules are.
Kyle, you don't understand. You are thinking at a higher level than this gentleman who was running around with the passport.
Oh, that's fair to say.
The group of people that he put in there were specifically chosen to try and be combat. Like, if it were, it would be infinitely easier to hang out in the house with you two guys than like a bunch of people you don't know, and you have Frank Hassel coming in, taking all your stuff and making messes. You got Airsoft Fatty coming in, shit everywhere. He's being gross. He's spitting on people. He's getting turned down by a prostitute because he smells too bad.
If the three of us were on that show and then we were in that environment, I think it would be a little like I imagine boot camp. I think part of boot camp is to put you in a really suffering, difficult environment where you bond with the other guys. And like, you're like, man, this fucking sucks, doesn't it? Like, this is hard. We're going to have to pull together and get through this. But that, of course, is not what these guys do.
Hey, who's that subhuman in the top left corner?
That's Airsoft Fatty.
Jesus Christ, dude.
That dude is a content factory.
Oh, yeah?
He is. I would like sometimes check in on the stream. Like, he's enormously fat. And so you assume he would be the most low energy person of all time. Yeah, they shaved his head into like a Friar Tuck thing.
Yeah.
And like I would like pop in randomly, sometimes be like, oh, it's like 10 a.m. I wonder if any of the fish are awake. And everyone's asleep except for that dude who's like always like making himself an enormous meal and like singing so loudly that it's funny because you can like go to the kitchen cam and like hear him booming how loud he is. And then you can go up to the cameras of the other people trying to sleep. And this guy's just booming voice is so fucking loud across the whole house. It was hilarious. Very, very funny stuff. Like not knowing what was coming next. You'd think that they would struggle much more with like the zoo effect of people not doing anything for enormous periods of time, but they did a good job keeping people engaged with activities and challenges and stuff. There was also like, I enjoyed the very Sam Hyde aspect of like the points kind of being whose line is it anyway, where it'd be sometimes like, all right, here's the competition. And then it'd be like, all right, Letty, you won, but you're not getting the point. I'm sorry. Like,
did those fish bucks ever materialize?
Yes. Yeah. He gave everybody the money for their fish bucks after telling them they would not be getting any money for their fish bucks. The Willy Wonka end to it was hysterical. His Willy Wonka end. Very, very funny stuff. So check out the highlights of Fish Tank and look out for season 2. I thought it was very entertaining.
Yeah. I think Sam Hyde is like your favorite style of humor right now. Like I bet if you could pick one guy to make. Yeah. Well, Opie and Anthony was a kind of good guy for a while.
For sure.
But, I put myself in the position of the victims too much. You know, it's funny. I watch cringy stuff, and you told me that you empathize with the cringe. You can hardly like get it. And
at times.
I'm totally comfortable with watching the cringiest stuff. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. But somehow the like borderline bully stuff, I'm always like, how would I fucking handle that situation? I can't beat up Sam Hyde. And here's this like, what am I gonna do? This isn't funny. This is mean. And
he's funny. He's like a Simpsons character. I can hear like Reverend Lovejoy saying that.
That's not funny.
It's mean.
It's mean.
Yeah, but I think I'm like the kind of rube that is part of what makes it work.
Yeah, see, so like one of the final challenges was who can make Airsoft Fatty move around in a circle in whipped cream the longest.
The longest or the most rotations in a minute?
The most rotations, and it didn't end up mattering because like all of it, like what the last 4 days they locked them all in a room, and Sam was like, all right, the final points competition, the first one to 48. And so it was the first one to 48 points. So they just came up with a bunch of horseshit games to keep them occupied. Because obviously in the end, it didn't matter. Like they already knew Josie was going to win and that Letty was going to get second place.
I think if I were just some crazy person who just was fans of all these, I'd be so into it. I'd want to like go, right?
I'll stay on the watching side, I think.
I think if I were one of them, I would just a random person, I would absolutely want to take part in something like this.
Yeah.
Growing up, I was really, and even now to some extent, I was really into game shows, and the idea, I always thought I could win the game show, like watching. There was this one game show on Nickelodeon with kids called something Temple, like
Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yeah, Legends of the Hidden Temple. And I remember I would always be like, God, these kids suck. I'm so much better than any kid on fucking Legends of the Hidden Temple. I'd get to the end, and man, it's been so long ago I was a kid, but I remember a pile
snakes.
The way I remember the prizes being, they basically gave you like an extra Christmas that year. They just piled up a bunch of toys and cool shit, and sponsors, of course.
Yeah,
but so I would definitely be in the Sam Hyde thing. The idea, how does he choose people?
It looks like everybody had to submit a video application for it. And then he picked people that he thought would be unique and interesting. One of the first guy, this Asian guy, Simmons, they had in the beginning was they found out like he had written some book back when he was a camp counselor that was about how to hook up with campers.
I remember that.
And Sam, apparently that was so over the line. Like the clip is Sam just being like, all right, get the hell out. You're gone. You're not here. Like get out. And so then he went out and found a different, funnier, more wholesome Asian guy that was about the same height and brought him in. just
one noticed
into a different Asian guy.
All right, we're gonna give you all of that other guy's points, okay? And we're just not. Can I? What was just call him the other guy's name? That would have been. That should have been the bit. So a pedophile made his way through the selection process allegedly.
Yeah, it took the chat, I suppose, all the audience online to parse that out and get him out of the house. Very entertaining stuff. Like it.
Pedophiles everywhere.